Hello and greetings, fellow StarCrafters. PGL Minecraft here with a 1 versus 1 between the red Zerg player Mouz.Morrow over here in the about, I guess, 3 o'clock position, thereabouts, versus the yellow Terran player up here in the top middle corner. Well, anyway. Up here on the top is BeastyQT. He is from the team Empire, and this is from the EG Masters Cup series. And first of all, so the Masters Cup series is primarily teams against each other, but I'm not sure the exact format, but I mean, this is a best of 3, I know that for sure. And so these two players will be pitted across, and I do know that on October 29th, Mouz Sports will be playing the team Empire again, so this very matchup could occur again. And I will just talk about the players just a little bit. Empire BeastyQT, he supposedly is Beastie because that's like his play style. I think sort of Thorazane-ish in that he likes to go relatively macro-oriented, and he goes like Marine Tank or, you know, Marine Marauder Medevac, depending on which race he's playing against, and just kind of, you know, just like the Terran does, you know, turtles up, gets a big economy going, and then steamrolls, you know, like with a slow push of tanks going across. Mouz.Morrow, on the other hand, actually played Terran in Brood War, and then played Terran for a little bit in StarCraft 2 when it first came out, and then switched over to Zerg, but he kind of did like a slow transition where he played as Terran for a little bit, so he is very knowledgeable about this matchup from a Terran perspective, and so he should, you know, that knowledge should definitely help him in terms of, you know, trying to beat someone who is playing as Terran. Beastie does pride himself apparently on his best matchup actually being TVZ, although statistically it is actually TVP, which is his best matchup. Looks like right away the drone is going to discover where BeastyQT is. BeastyQT, I do not think... Ooh, is he going to lock that drone in? Oh, the drone barely gets out right as he gets to 100 minerals, but he will not be able to get back into scout anymore. That Marine will get out, and then it will scare him away. In the meantime, looks like Morrow is going for a hatchery first. I do not believe BeastyQT knows where his opponent is, and he has not seen the Overlord most likely. It is... Actually, no, it's pretty likely that he knows where his opponent was, simply because he sent the drone so quickly, and I mean that was pretty much the fastest drone scout that you will ever see in a Terran versus Zerg, and he saw it coming from this way, which means only two things. First of all, he knows that he can't spawn down here because it's the MLG version of the map. If you're looking at the mini-map right now, he can't spawn in this little corner. But so the only other place he could be is here, but then the drone would have taken a lot longer to get there because, generally speaking, you don't do cross spawns, and if you do cross spawns, it comes from a different angle. So he probably knows where his opponent is and isn't in too much of a hurry to scout. He's sending a couple... Oh, these Marines are Overlord hunting. Very smart of him, because a lot of times Zerg players will send Overlords over to, you know, watch different areas or something, so I think he's actually just checking to see if there is any Overlords in that area, as he knows that his opponent cannot actually spawn in that area. I think. He should know that anyway. Looks like he will be going Reactor Hellions. That is basically the opening that I see every single Terran do. This is a little delayed, actually, though. Typically, the Reactor should be done right around when the factory is finishing, so he'll probably have about 3 Hellions when he moves out. And Morrow should be well prepared for it as well. Looks like there are 2 Queens as the third on the way. Third Queen is actually not on the way. I'm not quite sure why he brought the additional Queen down. It's possible to defend against any sort of early Hellions, maybe to block the ramp right here. And that is going to be an advantage for him to be able to block the ramp. And it is actually going to make him miss a couple of larva injects, as he does have 25 energy, and their cooldown is down on this hatchery, so he is losing a little bit of macro. Actually, he's just going to lay a creep tumor anyway. And so the reason he's doing this, by the way, folks, is he didn't get a super early spine crawler, so he didn't have any defense against Hellions prepared, so he wants to make sure that they're not able to run into the base and deal a lot of damage there. If you have a spine crawler, you'll get 2 or 3 whacks at the Hellions as they try to transfer in. Spine crawler should be up now, and I imagine that he will begin transferring the Queen back. The creep should be extend most of the direction back over there. Looks like the command center is now up. It is now being changed into an orbital. Meanwhile, we actually have Marauders coming out for Beastie. I would actually guess that he's probably going for some sort of timing attack, probably Marauder Hellion timing attack. Marine Marauder Hellion in this case, as it's very rare that you would see Marauders in this sort of situation. Typically speaking, you only want to get Marauders for 2 reasons. One is if the Zerg player is going heavy Roach, or, yeah, it has to be pretty heavy Roach in order to make going Marauders worth it, or 2, if you have a bunch of Hellions to deal with the Zerglings. Ooh, Hellions are going to get their roast one drone. Looks like they have 3 kills total. I think 2 of those are drones, though, or 2 of those are... Oh, we do have actually 4 workers killed. So he did end up getting 4 worker kills with those Hellions. I might have missed the first run-in over there. Looks like Mouz.Morrow is going to move his creep tumor out to better cover that area now. But the only other reason, as I was saying, is to get Marauders is to bust down spine crawlers. In general, I mean, that is not 100% true. They're useful in other aspects, like, for instance, Marauders slow against Banelings. They can tank Baneling shots pretty well. They're really good against Ultralisks. There are various reasons to get Marauders. Obviously, he's not going for a 1-base timing as he did do the quick expansion. And it remains to be seen if he is doing this. Normally, it would be off of 1 base if he does end up doing the all-in. So it remains to be seen. It's possible he's just going to be dropping and wants the Marauders to be able to deal extra damage to buildings, as an example. Looks like a Baneling Nest is now coming up, as well as a Macro Hatchery. It's interesting placement for the Macro Hatchery. It limits... It actually limits Hellion movement just a little bit, trying to come up into the base. I guess it limits Siege Tank movement possibly as well. Normally, I think you get it like right here. It actually makes the gas mining just a tad more efficient, but in this case, the Spine Color was already there, and there's really not that much of a compelling reason to really move it at this point in time. Looks like a Spire is going to be on the way, and indeed, BeastyQT is going to be moving out right now. Actually, just take a look at the units. Morrow actually only has 7 Zerglings right now, so he is actually very vulnerable to an attack. I'm actually kind of surprised how few... He's just been droning up really, really hard. He does have 52 drones, so he's been droning up very, very hard, and it's possible that he actually droned up too hard. Looks like this is going to be an elevator attack. So this is like a Marine Hellion attack. But normally it comes before Stim, but this is a little bit delayed, but on the other hand, you get Stim and you get Marauders to come with as well. Those Hellions are going to do a very good job against those Zerglings. And Morrow actually only has 2 Banelings right now, so he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. That Spire is possibly going to be able to be focused down, and a lot of drones are actually falling as well. If BeastyQT is going to want to maneuver his forces just a little bit better positioning. Positioning is okay, actually, although there he goes into the corner, and that should be able to take care of the vast majority of those Zerglings. Another group from BeastyQT has been able to move up in here, and Morrow's having a lot of time dealing with this. He's now building 36 Zerglings, but I'm not sure that's really going to be enough. He has already lost a large amount of drones, and if he focuses far with those Hellions, he's going to lose even more drones, as actually not the best control from BeastyQT, but still he is torching through those drones very, very quickly, and I think Morrow might get enough forces to be able to deal with this, but not without substantial losses, and looks like actually QT is just going to go ahead and fly on out of there. That was a lot of damage dealt on him. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. It is 28 Harvesters to 47. That is never a position you want to be in as a Zerg. Looks like Morrow's going to go for the counterattack that he knows he needs to do, but look at all those Zerglings that he had to build in order to make sure that he could deal with that attack. Meanwhile, there are a number of Marines here, as well as a Hellion from the Medevac and a Marauder. Some Marines as well. Looks like the Banelings are going to morph in, and Morrow is just going to see if he's going to be able to win this right now. Because if he can't win it right now, he is just going to die, basically. I think he does have his Spire, but he is currently supply blocked. He doesn't have any drones to get minerals, and he has tons of gas, but no minerals in order to be able to spend. It looks like he's got a decent spread right there. There are no siege tanks, though, so the spread is actually fairly useless. Looks like the Banelings are going to try to go into the mineral line. Nice job splitting off a couple of SCVs in order to tank the Baneling hits there. And it looks like BeastyQT was able to avoid the vast majority of that damage. And I think probably Morrow might just have to GG out of this game. It's possible he's going to stay in and see if he can try to macro up and get back into position. But most likely BeastyQT should be able to kill him with some sort of strong timing attack in the next 30 seconds, maybe a minute or so, as his economy is considerably stronger than his opponent's, and he doesn't want him to just go ahead and give him a chance to come back, as Zerg can. I mean, Zerg could take a lot of damage like that, but they can really bounce back quickly just because they have 3 hatcheries with larva injects on all of them, which is just so many drones that you can build. So if you have the minerals, all of a sudden he's back up to 50 drones, and it's not, the end of the world. He even has, like 10 Mutalisks coming out, and it looks like BeastyQT is probably not aiming for some sort of push out. It's possible he still could, but at the very minimum, he is going to take a 3rd base. Probably going to get a planetary fortress there, if I had to guess, just to make sure he is going to be extra safe in that location. Indeed, there comes the planetary fortress. The Mutalisks are out now. Looks like they are dancing around, making sure they have control of the watchtower. Meanwhile, BeastyQT is in fact going to be moving out and trying to end this. This is going to be a very difficult attack for Mouz.Morrow to be able to hold off. He is actually currently supply blocked as well, and so he has to wait another 10 seconds before he can even start getting Zerglings. BeastyQT being extra careful, probably is going to want to throw down a couple scans ahead of time. I'm not sure if he has one available. He actually has one scan just now, and that's actually... Oh, there comes the scan. and there's a lot of Mutalisks there, but this is even more Marines, so he should be in a good position. He wants to be very, very careful. He does not want to lose this force, as that's exactly the kind of way that Morrow would be able to come back. Looks like actually he's just going to take out a bunch of creep tumors and possibly check to see if there's a third, and actually that was a huge overstim. He only has one medevac to heal all of these Marines, and so if he keeps stimming them, then they're just going to remain hurt, because that medevac does not have unlimited energy, and it can only heal one Marine at a time. Looks like Morrow is going to be going for the counterattack. I'm kind of surprised that BeastyQT decided to go for the third here. That's not really... I mean, there's no reason not to just go for the throat at that point where he was so ahead and he knows that Morrow was droning up so much. That is a lot of banelings right there, though. He's going to want to set up the siege tanks. Oh my goodness, his Marines are all grouped together. He's going to need very expert splits to be able to deal with these banelings. Looks like a decent amount of Marines go down. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough, however. I think that Morrow will be able to clean this up, but at what cost? He will lose a couple of Mutalisks, but that was actually a relatively good, cost-effective method for Morrow to be able to clean that up. And BeastyQT was trying to be careful with that attack, but he ended up getting caught flat-footed because he decided to go for the third and hook around all the way down this way, whereas if he just went straight for the throat of Morrow, actually he would have been a lot more successful, because the banelings, there would have been a lot less banelings, a lot less lings ready for his forces. Looks like he's going to be adding 3 more barracks, trying to build up to this force. Morrow is trying to counterattack, but that's not going to be successful. Way too many Marines there, as well as a number of siege tanks as well. Looks like he will be able to pick off that missile turret. That siege tank, not quite as well. How many Mutalisks is that? That is 14 Mutalisks. He actually still has gas to get 8 more. He is just lacking minerals right now because, you know, he's still only on 2 bases. I think he has a good amount of drones. He has 48 drones, but still way behind the Terran in terms of workers, which is always a bad place to be because, of course, mules add so much production, well, not production, but minerals, which, of course, turn into production. And he is finally getting out a couple of more medevacs to be able to heal all those yellow Marines right there. Looks like the Mutalisks are trying to decide whether to fly, and I think he's just trying to snipe the refinery right there. Barely able to do that. That's actually pretty good control from Morrow's part. There is a Viking there. That Viking will get picked off very quickly if it's not controlled, and it won't be, and goodbye, Viking. He'll probably be able to pick off I would guess not the engineering bay. Actually, he's just taking tons of damage from the turret. I don't think that's a very good idea on his part. He probably could have just picked off the turret instead of picking off the engineering bay, although he did a decent amount of damage to the turret as well. These Mutalisks are actually dealing a decent amount of damage, and looks like BeastyQT is actually going to just move out instead of sending forces back to be able to deal with this. He does have, what, like 4 Marines in his base? That's kind of a peculiar decision. If he's just going to go for it, I'm kind of wondering why he's going this direction. I suppose it is to deny the third, and hopefully to not get spotted by the Zerg player moving out, or to be caught flat-footed again, just to make sure he doesn't lose that army and give Morrow a chance to be able to come back into this game. But we do see that the supplies are fairly even at this point. So Morrow has done a pretty good job coming back, considering how far behind he was at one point in time. I think the worker count is still way against his favor. However, his army count is considerably larger, just because BeastyQT hasn't really totally refilled from his previous army. He's going to want to set up these siege tanks. He's going to want to split the Marines up in the top to make sure that the Mutalisks will not be able to pounce in and deal lots of damage. It looks like the pretty good split from Beastie right there. He's going to want to focus fire the banelings, able to take out the vast majority of the banelings with the siege tanks. However, he does not have enough Marines left alive at the end of this in order to be able to win it. And actually, these Marines are the Marines are 2-1, so they should do pretty well against 1-0 Mutalisks. However, were not quite enough of them, and he's going to lose his entire force again. I'm kind of wondering right now if perhaps it would have been a better idea to wait until he was maxed out in order to be able to move out. Of course, that would give Morrow a chance to kind of rebuild his droid economy. I'm not sure that BeastyQT realizes quite how far ahead he is at this point in time. He's actually pushing out again. This is something I definitely recommend against. He only has 1 siege tank and this group of Marines. Maybe he's just going to be taking the watchtower. And it looks like that's all he's going to be doing, as that would be pretty foolhardy in order to move into your opponent's base. Looks like Carapace level 2 is now going to be finishing, and that Menk statue was taken down. Drag it through the streets of Metalopolis, just like they did with Saddam Hussein's statue in Baghdad. BeastyQT is getting a relatively large group of Marines right now. Looks like these Mutalisks are just flying around. There are a lot of turrets here, though, so BeastyQT should be pretty well protected. He will get that add-on right there, and another add-on as well. However, his Mutalisks are taking a decent amount of damage right there. The Marines are finally going to be able to stim and move up, and probably BeastyQT is going to want to rebuild either the add-ons or possibly the turrets as well, or maybe even both. And it looks like Morrow is actually just going for as many Mutalisks as possible. Kind of a down Ragu style there, in order to just build as many Mutalisks as you can and then just like destroy your Terran opponent with it. Because once you get to a certain amount of Mutalisks, it really doesn't matter how many turrets you have, as they can just like one-shot the turret. So it's like boom, 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 and then they kill your mineral line in like 2 seconds. Looks like Morrow is going to be double expanding here. His expansion is now up and running. I think it, yeah, just started up, just finished rather. And he'll probably be getting a couple of gases there in order to catch his gas up as he has finally spent his huge reservoirs of gas that he had available. Sensor tower now up for BeastyQT, and he is going to be moving to the gold. I definitely like this decision. It's something he could definitely hold while he's in this relatively strong lead at this point in time. I'm not sure the lead is quite... I mean, it's even, basically, right? So the supplies are even, the worker count is even. However, that puts Terran in a favorable position, you know, and they're going to be on the even number of bases. Well, I mean, if this base goes up, then he will have one more bases. Oh, no! Yeah, if that base goes up, then he'll have one more base than his opponent. But, you know, he's only going to be up one base, which is like a fine position to be in as a Zerg, and he is going to be maxed out. So, I mean, the big thing is that BeastyQT is not going to want to lose this army again in any sort of dramatic fashion as he has been doing under his previous text. It looks like he's actually going to be moving out this way again. He's going to want to be very, very careful here, which is he's trying to do right now. Looks like a counterattack actually is coming in from Morrow. Look at all those Banelings! Oh my god! Those Banelings are about to be rolling right to that planetary fortress. Goodbye! Actually, it was an orbital command that was building. Looks like they are not going to try to steamroll into the Marines, however, as there were too many... Actually, siege tanks were too far back. Those Banelings actually probably could have caused a lot of damage if you rolled on in, but Morrow did not want to take that risk and decided to just take out the command center and head out. This is, of course, going to cause a counterattack from BeastyQT, as Morrow did expend a good deal of his Banelings during that attack, so he should have less Banelings for this engagement. Looks like BeastyQT is now going to slow push across. Probably gonna want to he's probably gonna want to keep that bank statue. Actually, it'll separate his opponent's forces just a little bit, and he's gonna want to seize those up pretty quickly. It looks like Morrow's going to be engaging. Not sure if he's planning to engage right here, as a lot of the Banelings are actually auto-attacking into the Thors. That's not something he really wants to happen right now, but it looks like they've probably done enough damage anyway, as there aren't enough Marines one more time, and BeastyQT's force is going to be taken out one last time. Oh my goodness, Morrow is actually going to come back from this game. Alright, now Morrow hasn't won this game yet. He is now finally up on workers. He is up by 50 supply right now. There is basically nothing defending this base. There are a number of Marines. However, and actually Morrow, I don't think Morrow has any Zerglings. Does, oh, he has 71 Zerglings. Where are they? Oh, here are all of his Zerglings. He can actually attack this base really, really easily with the Zerglings right now, especially in combination with the Metalisks. Not quite sure why he's not opting to do that. Marines weapons level 3 is actually just finishing those, so that should definitely help out BeastyQT as well. And he's just taking control of the gold and dropped a lot of mules all over it. He should get a planetary fortress pretty quick there, and the siege tanks are even in range. Oh, he's getting an orbital. Huh. Alright, well, I'm not sure I agree with the decision to get an orbital, as that was targeted down. Although, against Banelings, actually, orbitals are sometimes better, because you can just surprise lift them when they right-click on them, and then run with the SCVs, and all of a sudden the Banelings just don't do anything. Well, they kill your army, I suppose, which is pretty bad, but they don't get the command center at the minimum. Looks like Morrow is going to be planning for an attack here. I'm not sure. He should be. This is a pretty good position for BeastyQT. I'm not sure he has enough Marines, though. He does seem to have a good deal of siege tanks. He is actually only producing Marines about 3 at a time, where he's the capacity to produce them like 8 at a time. There we go. That's exactly what he's looking at. It looks like actually Morrow is now getting a number of infestors. Unfortunately, he did not time the pathogen glands upgrade correctly, so these a number of these infestors, actually all of the infestors that he's already built so far, have not been built so that pathogen glands will finish beforehand, so Morrow will have to wait for their energy. Nice burrowed Banelings right here. I don't think that the turrets do not spot them. This turret might actually. Oops. Oh, my mistake. Sorry, just trying to press the V button and I pressed the B button, so a little bit farther back, and actually looks like I missed a drop, so we will go ahead and go back to this drop real quick as long as I accidentally press the back button. So there is a little drop here. Looks like it got cleaned up with very little trouble. One Marine still sitting out over here right next to the Zergling. They have a truce, though, and are not going to be fighting each other at this point in time. Let's go to the units lost tab. Okay, so actually, okay, the Terran is down by 2,000 of units lost, which is a pretty big number. He does have a number of Thors. I don't think his Marine count is still quite high enough. I think probably he might... Well, he doesn't really have the minerals to add more barracks to his production, as I think he's kind of producing everything that he can right now. Looks like the Mutalist flock is just going to kind of hang out there. They like to... Don't Mutalists ever get tired? They're constantly flying throughout the entire game. Like... you know, like... I don't know, like they have to... they have to just keep flying forever. You know, that seems like a waste of energy. Wouldn't they just land and just kind of like hang out or something for a little bit, like rest their wings, stretch out? Maybe they do that in between games. Well, anyway, BeastyQT looks like has successfully secured the gold. So it looks like he's evened up. Ooh, he's evened up supply just a little bit. Did he see those infestors, or is he just taking the watchtower? Oh my god! The turrets from here spotted those infestors. I don't know if he noticed them, though. If he hasn't noticed them, he should definitely scan. The scan will also get rid of those 2 burrowed baneling landmines right there. And actually, are there baneling landmines? Okay, so there's infestor landmines and baneling landmines. He does see 1 baneling landmine right here. So it's probably going to trigger him to scout to scan everywhere that he's attacking. And actually, ooh, is that in range? Yeah, that's in range. Alright, looks like these Zerglings are going to move up into here and take out those little forces on the watchtower. Probably a couple of fungal growths are now going to come out from the infestors right there. It is going to hit about 6 Zerglings. Very nice spread from his siege tanks right there. BeastyQT is going to want to set those siege tanks up, and now he's going to be in a very nice position. As long as he keeps the Marines spread, he should be able to push hard against this third. It remains to be seen if Morrow is going to be able to have enough. He does want to try to set up a flanking position. Looks like he's just dropping a couple of infested Terrans into the base. These Marines are going to be able to move in and deal a lot of damage to this hatchery, and probably is going to be able to take it out. Morrow knows that he's not going to be able to save it. It's also not terribly vital to his operations, although his Mutalisks are way too grouped up right now, and the Thors are dealing lots of damage to them. They were able to take out a couple of siege tanks, but at the cost of like 5, 6, 7 Mutalisks, so that was a lot of damage that he dealt. That was basically unnecessary. Looks like, oh, he needs one more shot against it. One more shot against the hatchery. Oh, not quite able to take out the hatchery. Very nice fungal growth. Was able to kill like 15, maybe 10 to 15 Marines right there. I think he's actually, Marine count is a little too low, so he's going to get ahead and head back. Did take out that hatchery, though. Very nice job on his part. Looks like a number of banelings are actually morphing in over here, and looks like they are just going to be for more baneling landmines. Meanwhile, a burrowed Zergling right here is going to stop this command center from landing, and actually the unburrowed Zergling underneath it is also stopping it from landing. Now he finally realizes that there's also a burrowed Zergling right there, so he should be landing both those pretty quickly. That Zergling did not burrow. He didn't need to scan there, actually, but chose to anyway. It looks like a couple of Zerglings all around the map. I'm not exactly sure what Morrow's plan is at this point in time. He is on Hive Tech. He does have a Greater Spire. Does he have any? He does have 10 Broodlords. Where are those Broodlords? Ah, juicy. Now, Beastie is building 4 Vikings at a time. However, those Vikings can get fungal growth pretty easily, and that's kind of the way to counter it. However, nonetheless, it is very difficult to deal with Broodlords if they're sitting right here and firing at your expansion. So it's actually pretty good that this is pretty mined out by the time the Broodlords got out, as he can just kind of... I mean, if he has to throw it away, he can throw it away. It's not the biggest deal in the world. He can even move the orbital somewhere else and use it for scans and mules somewhere else. Looks like this force is going to kind of slow push in. Looks like BeastyQT is actually just going to back off of this army. I'm not sure. He must be. Yeah, he's definitely aware of this army. Bunch of infested Terrans are now being thrown up in the front. Ooh, and these Vikings are way too grouped up. He's going to want to spread those Vikings pretty quickly. Nice dodge on the fungal growth right there. Meanwhile, those infested Terrans are dealing a decent amount of damage. However, the siege tanks are actually dealing even more damage, as they do have lots and lots of kills, but most of those kills are in either Broodlings or SCVs. Looks like Morrow was pretty content with just having dealt a lot of damage to his economy and is going to go ahead and back off. But look at how low BeastyQT's income total is right now. What's his SCV count? The SCV count is at 47. However, Morrow's is only at 59, and it is more hurtful for a Zerg player to have a low count. He's going to want to spread those Marines. Siege tanks are able to line up, and that is a very nice job on his part. Nice dodge. There you go. Only 3 Vikings hit. If all those Vikings get snagged, it can be very difficult to deal with those Broodlords in the army. It looks like they all did, in fact, get hit. He had to unsiege all of his tanks. That's when the Zerg ground army should be able to engage, actually. And actually, is there only... Oh, no, never mind. There's a number of more fungal growths. I thought there was only 1 fungal growth, and I was like, just march in, Beastie. You can kill everything. And actually, he probably could anyway. If he did a good enough split and good enough control, I think actually he would be able to just march in and stim up and kill the vast majority of this army, as there isn't anything actually underneath these infestors or broodlords. And you really need a bunch of Zerglings, roaches, something underneath to be able to absorb the damage to make sure that the Marines can't just focus fire the broodlords and the infestors down. Looks like there is a small drop here, including an SCV who is holding gold minerals, perhaps a gift. Something that he wants to donate, and 2 free infestor kills. Oh my god, it was 11 life. I was like, oh wow, that infestor actually survived. Looks like the medevac would get out if it was going to be controlled. Looks like it's not going to be controlled though, as it's just being taken out now. Whereas, okay, BeastyQT is now setting up his army a little bit farther back. I'm not quite sure why he's chosen that particular location, I suppose to defend these expansions, which is always important, but they do have planetary fortresses, so he should be pretty safe from any sort of reprisal at this point. Now, actually, I kind of wonder if which player has mined more resources at this point in time in terms of the super long game, if BeastyQT could come out ahead. However, Morrow hasn't tapped his gold yet, so that is one important area where Morrow is going to be ahead. Generally speaking, the Terran does mine out faster. He now has ghosts. Those ghosts should be able to help deal with those infestors by EMPing. Pretty good spread, though, from Morrow. He's going to make that to deal with. The Marines are going to sprint up. They are going to get fungal growth. Very nice fungal growth right there, killing so many Marines. Who is the lucky infestor? 20 kills on that infestor. 5-2. Looks like the siege tanks are dealing a decent amount of damage to the ground army. However, the broodlords are firing their broodlings. Those broodlings are then dealing a lot of damage to the siege tanks, as the siege tanks then fire upon the broodlings, which are next to friendly forces, and they deal damage to their own forces that way. Which is part of the secret, like, not secret, I suppose, but part of the reason why broodlords are just so absolutely devastating against Terran is because if they're kept alive, first of all, not only does it mess up your AI for your shooting units, as your units target broodlords and not... Oh, it's just the neutral supply depot. Target broodlings and not the broodlords themselves, but when they do, like siege tanks, for example, will just target their own forces. Looks like a nice little counterattack here from Morrow. He should raise the supply depot, and there it goes. Looks like not too much damage is going to be dealt. There's actually no... Oh, looks like he's probably just going to go... He's going to go for the Ghost Academy, actually. That's a decent choice right there, as there's a... No, he's not going to be able to get it. Looks like the Ghost Academy is going to get cloaked now, and the broodlords are going to move in while there is a very light army of Marines actually over here. He's going to want to engage in a lot of snipes, but the Ghosts get taken out almost immediately before they're able to snipe right now. And this could be an absolutely devastating attack for BeastyQT, as Morrow just plowing right through that army right there. He's down to only these Vikings right here, but if they get fungal growth, then he's going to be out of an army. Now the Corruptors are actually being taken out pretty quickly by the Marines. However, there was a lot of energy on these infestors still. They are going to be able to get a fungal growth off, dealing a lot of damage to those Marines right there, and he's very low on resources right now. There's also broodlords attacking this planetary fortress, which will eventually be able to take it down, except for the repair going on right now. Looks like the Vikings are actually dealing a lot of damage. The infestors are almost entirely out of energy right now, as they are just going to have to lay some infested Terrans and get on out of there. Those Vikings are going to dodge the infested Terrans until they go away. Then probably are going to take out these broodlords. So actually, BeastyQT was very nicely able to hold on there. I thought he might have been dead as soon as his force got taken out. Looks like he is able to spot the burrowed infestors. We'll be sending a couple of Marines after those. Some infested Terrans are being morphed in, but the scan... Boom! Going to be able to take out a number of infestors. The infestor, meanwhile, will get his revenge against the Marines, as they will all go down to 9 life or so. Looks like SCVs are actually attacking. We're actually attacking the infestors. That's kind of funny. And probably he's going to want to scan again right up here and be able to take those out. He is pretty low on resources right now, so a mule would be pretty helpful as well. So, you know, and he only has 3 planetary fortresses right now, and this orbital was taken out. So he only has 2 orbitals, so that's actually very few orbitals considering his position in this game. Now, the planetaries were a good call, but I mean, he probably could make one of these an orbital. I'm not sure which one. Probably this one, as it would be a little bit harder to attack, although that would make it more vulnerable to things like these infestors, which are sitting right next to a missile turret and are about to be taken out by these Marines right now. Morrow appears to be biding his time just a little bit. He has a lot of resources available. Looks like he's going to be opting for an Ultralisk Cavern. I'm not sure. He does have 3 Carapace. Goodbye, infestors. Nice knowing you. I love how they come out of the ground before they explode in a violent death. Morrow has a secured gold. He is now spending all of his resources. Actually, surprisingly, he must have low worker count. He only has 49 workers still. So, actually, BeastyQT is very much still in this game. He just needs to have some very cost-effective engagements, which, given the tech level of the Zerg player at this point in time, it could be very difficult to do that. Looks like a couple of SCVs are still rallied to harvest here, but they are going to be taken out by these 2 patrolling Zerglings. And nice little landmine there. I'm not quite sure why he set that landmine off just for 3 Marines when he has this group of Zerglings, which could easily have taken them out as well. The Zerglings are actually, if they get into the base... Uh-oh. Wait, where are the Zerglings? Okay, he sent a couple of Scout Zerglings, and it looks like BeastyQT will be able to raise that supply depot, but he should be able to deal a lot of damage here. These forces are going to be able to respond, and most of the Zerglings will get out. The rest of the Zerglings are just going to dance around. Partially, they are just biding time right now for the Ultralisks, which are going to be coming out. The Ultralisks will have 3-3, and there will come the Ultralisks. Ooh, 4 Ultralists coming on in, and you can see that they are 70 seconds, so this is the older patch. This is not the most recent patch that changed the Ultralist build time down to 55 from 70, so it actually takes as long as some upgrades. And he's also getting chitinous plating, which conveniently is only 110 seconds, so by the time the Ultras are available, chitinous plating will be almost done. Or chitinous. I always say chitinous just because I've said that ever since I was a little kid, but it's chitinous plating apparently. And so, yeah, ooh, does he have a nuke? Does he have a nuke? Oh, he doesn't have a nuke. Why is he taking the ghost? What if that was an accident, actually? Or maybe he's going to be going for a snipe or something. But that would have been really cool if he was planning on a nuke right there. Probably want to nuke the Greater Spire if that's what he was going to do. Looks like he did get 1 Viking. Since there aren't any Metalisks anymore, it's going to be pretty difficult to deal with that Viking. It should get a number of kills. It already has 1 kill, and his ship weapons is actually upgraded twice. Looks like those Corruptors, though, will have a little say about that, be able to save their Overlord buddies and tell them to back on off. This is a lot of ghosts, actually, right now. Ghosts are very nice in late-game TVP, or TVZ, because they're able to snipe all of the upper-tier units, and actually they deal, once they're fully upgraded, they deal 26 damage a shot against Zerglings, which is pretty good. Looks like Overlord speed is now just being gutted. I've never seen Overlord speed that late. And there comes the nuke. Where's the drop? Was the drop taken out too? I think the drop was taken out by those Corruptors as well. That's a little unfortunate for BeastyQT there. But he is getting the nuke. Okay, so you can't nuke across here. That would be really cool if you could. I want to say that's really close. It's probably just out of range. But you can put a ghost here and nuke there, which is a lot of things that Terrans really like to do, especially in Terran versus Terrans, but also in Terran versus anyone else, as long as they have ghosts available and nukes available. So it looks like we're entering a little bit of a lull, but just as I say that, it looks like Mouz.Morrow possibly deciding to be able to move out. I think actually he would probably roll through this army pretty easily, but he wants to be super careful. He does not want to give this game away. He does have a huge reserve of resources, I'm sure plenty of larvae as well. He's also getting a number of Zerglings. Looks like the Infestor is going to slide on up there, is going to get a fungal growth off, and a second fungal growth off, and then head on home. Those Marines will die who were hit by the second fungal growth. Looks like a couple of Banelings are actually being wasted in those Marines right now. Not quite sure. Morrow, I guess, was just trying to clear out those Marines. A couple of turrets go down. Those turrets are actually pretty useful for absorbing damage, and they have a relatively high DPS as well. What do they deal? 8 every 0.8 seconds. That's pretty good, actually. Looks like a couple of infested Terrans were put up here, but they forgot to be given an attack command, so they were not able to do really anything. And I think right now Morrow is just positioning for the final assault. It is going to be very devastating as we have 5-3 Ultralists as well as a lot of full energy Infestors as well as Broodlords. So this is like basically the ultimate tier 3 tech army versus a not even max Terran. I mean, he's almost max, but still not quite. And, I mean, I think he's 3-3, right? I'm pretty sure he's 3-3. Yeah, he's 3-3 and 2-0 weapons and 2-0 ship weapons, too. And he's got a pretty good spread, and he's got a lot of ghosts. So he should be in a decent position to hold this off. But it looks like he's going to be moving the siege tanks just a little bit. Not sure if he's going to be trying to move forward, try to engage the Zerg. Oh, yep, he's going for the Duke. Ooh. There you go. Looks like he's going for the nuke. This siege tank did get contained. The fungal growths on all of the ghosts and all of the Marines right there. Look at how low health they are. One more fungal growth will kill all of those. Ghosts are dealing a lot of damage, however, with their snipes. And a couple of neuroparasites are going down on the siege tanks. Those aren't going to end up doing too much, though. BeastyQT, oh, there goes the fungal growth, killing so many ghosts right now. How many ghosts is he down to? He is down to, well, actually, he's only down to 12 ghosts, but he keeps losing more and more and more. And that's all he has now because all of his Marines got fungaled. So he's just trying to snipe as much as he can, but really he can't do anything. The nuke, the nuke did not land. I believe it might have been canceled, or possibly that ghost was taken out, I think. Yeah, the ghost was taken out, I think. Looks like these Zerglings are going to go ahead and move. Nope, looks like they're not going to move right in there, do they? They actually don't even have Adrenal Glands upgrade. That was a mistake on Morrow's part. And actually looks like BeastyQT is just going to GG as a number of Zerglings and Infestors just barrel on through whatever army he has left and are about to take him out, while 4 Ultralists are on the way. He does have 5 Ghosts on the way, but those Ghosts just aren't going to be able to do enough. Yep, he actually does have his Mobius reactor, I think is called for Ghosts. So they do start with enough energy to EMP, but this force is just too powerful, and Morrow was just way too ahead in that game. So that was a really good comeback from Morrow. Actually, BeastyQT throwing away a couple of armies right there, which allowed him to get right back into the game, be able to drone up, recover his economy, and his economy never really fully recovered throughout the game. as you know, he was always kind of starving for resources right up until the end there. But very nice job on his part. I'm really impressed that he was able to come back from that game. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on to game number 2. This is PGL Minecraft signing off.